welcome back to part two. Maxi Hughes has done really, really well, hasn't he? Obviously, Sean O'Hagan and all them boys have done well for him, haven't they? Steffi Bull, we need to tip his hat for him. They've matched him correctly, haven't they? And he's had a good run, hasn't he? Do you see him cashing him out now against Stevenson? Because he had a close one at weekend. If he'd have lost that one, he wouldn't have been. Nobody would have cared about. Really would they? They'd just say, "Oh, he had a purple patch and he died down." But now that he's beat Galahad, he's got to be $1 million fights abroad to be cashed out now, hasn't he?
And that's what I hope he gets. I hope he gets a really big fight for an absolute shitload of money.
Yeah,
because he deserves it. He's a working class man. You can still see in the little clips of his life. He's a doting father. Finally, he's full time. And if anybody deserves it, it's a guy like that who's had his defeats. He's had his tough nights. He's never folded, has he? He's always kind of stuck to his belief. And I know Sean really well, but you can't knock success, can you? You can't knock getting up. We talk about all these coaches who get gifted all of these kids. Well, Sean O'Hagan's first gig with Maxi was an impossible fight against Liam Walsh. He got a kid who was already damaged from losing to several fighters. And then he gets a hard night with Walsh. And I watched that fight. I think it was on YouTube. And he boxed really well. It was a cracking fight. And Sean's obviously then... He got beat, but it was a really good fight. And Walsh is an absolute quality operator. And it's a good fight. And then Sean's obviously just worked with him and having the world champion in the gym helps with Josh. You bounce off each other, and it's one of those Rocky stories ultimately. But so you need the Rocky ending, don't you, where he gets his big payday. And all right, listen, he'll know himself if he gets one of these really, really big fights. He's up against it. He's a realist. Sean's a realist. These guys, they're not mouthing off saying they're going to beat the Lomachenkos of this world. They're just saying, I'd like to be in that company and I'd like my opportunity, and good luck to him. But I hope he gets the big fight, and that effectively will pay off his mortgage, and it looks after him for the rest of his life.
Well, I'm looking at some of these, what people have been getting for fighting Stevenson. He could basically, because he's taking a belt over there as well, it'd be a unification job, but basically he could come out it with 500 grand English money net.
Yeah,
that's what he should be coming away with, and that can set him up. He can buy an house and buy another couple to rent out, can't he? So he can do well, can't he, out at job?
And he's not the kind of person who's just going to piece that up a drain, is he? And
he worked hard for it, and he's done it the hard route, and
he's grafted, and he'll be. I mean, Josh was sensible.
He's doing it like Jamie McDonald did. They went the hard route. You've had defeats and you come back. That's why you can tell a champion. Josh had defeats. He's not reacting like a champion, reacting like a spoilt child, wanting to pick and choose who you fight instead of wanting to fight the best. Like that Maxi Hughes has come up short, like Crawler did the hard way. They've done it the hard way, haven't they, these kids? You pick your son up, you dust your son down, you go again. Listen, when you're 2-year-old, you fall over, don't you? You get up, don't you? Adults don't get up. They go on sick.
Look at Marvin Hagler.
They get mental health. You don't see kids at school, 7-year-old with mental health, who've got no toys at home and not much food in fridge. They're running around playground, aren't they? 7-year-old, they haven't got a care in world. Do you know what I mean? They're having to go home and deal with all that and having nothing. And mum and dad on drugs and steaming drunk. And then they go to school. Some kids come through all that, don't they? Some kids don't, do they? But adults, mental health.
So we can imagine Maxi Hughes turning around to Sean and Nicky Manners saying, "No, I don't feel like training tonight," or "Go easy on me." Like, can you imagine what they'd say? They're just on your bike. So, like you just mentioned, Maxi Hughes is another southpaw, just like the great Marvin Hagler. Hagler had losses and draws on his record. He got $400 in his pro debut or something. It was garbage. It's like he came up the hard way. He was a blue collar worker. He held a full-time job. Maxi held a full-time job as a plasterer. That's a tough ask, isn't it?
He worked as a plasterer.
That's Terry Flanagan with a builder's labourer. This is graft. This is absolute graft. So he deserves his whatever he gets, whether it's one payday or 3 paydays. He deserves some big paydays.
Well, Clinton said to me, he said, well, you'd train anyway, wouldn't you? If you went to work, you still got gym once a day. He says, so I just did my run in the morning, went to work and went gym at night. He says, and that works for me. He says, still earning it day. You're still getting your money when you fight, don't you? And he says, that's what he says. The only thing I'd be doing extra if I weren't a pro would be running morning.
Yeah.
So he says, I don't understand all these people who turn pro, then they're strutting around for sponsorship and they're not going to do anything. And I see what he's
driving.
Clinton, pardon?
They're all driving cars, what sponsors are getting for them, don't they? And this is the problem.
Don't want to fight nobody.
They think they've already made it. They think they've already made it, and they haven't made it.
Like Josh Wellington reversing it like Audley Harrison.
Yeah, Josh Wellington works.
Debut in a limo, Audley.
Yeah,
with some waste man.
Yeah, Josh Wellington was a dental technician. He used to work all day, and him and Sean would come to Central to gym, and they'd have a hard shift in the gym. Sean had been driving a cab all day. Josh had been working all day. I'd been working all day. Sykes had been working. And then we were training in the gym. Flanagan had come with cement in his bleeding hair. It's like no sob story. It's just crack on with it. And like you said, now these kids, they're turning over. They're getting 5, 6, 7 sponsors. And then they're getting 8, 9 fights against nobodies. And then they're getting turned over and they're crumbling. They're falling to pieces. The world is like, it's over. Crazy. You got to character building. You got to have your character developed.
Yeah, Terry Harper's stepped up all them weight divisions, done well. She did a surgeon job on ranking, didn't she? I told Dennis she'll beat her on points. Dennis went, they're wrong. She'd be too powerful. She'll get up close and rough her up. Didn't happen, did it? Right. You can have a game plan, but other person might have their game plan, eh? So she's won that. Now, if that were a man going from featherweight to light middle, it'd be world record breaking, wouldn't it?
Well, you've got Barry McGuigan in 1985 moving up to beat Mike McCallum at light middleweight, haven't you?
There you go. Barry McGuigan against Maurice Hope.
yeah. Little Barry McGuigan against Mo Hope. Yeah. So, listen, the ranking fight, I had no idea. I tossed a coin. I said ranking might win. I don't follow it that closely. You know I don't. But ranking's a brave girl, but she has a record that's pretty mixed. She's been in good company, but it just shows that at the moment the depth of women's boxing, doesn't it? Because you couldn't jump that many titles in that many weights. 50
summits active out of 64 in that division. There's 1,919 in light middle now.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's 35 times, isn't it?
It's a bit like evolution. So people are getting bigger, aren't they? Men are getting bigger. So if you look at flyweights now, I remember, they used to say when, no disrespect, God rest his soul, but when Chris Edwards twice won the flyweight title, British flyweight title.
In a split.
Yeah, but Chris Edwards was something like, he had a 50% win record. And basically, if you're a flyweight, you beat Delroy Spencer 4 times, and then you box for a British flyweight championship because there's not that many flyweights in Britain. Well, it's exactly the same. So if you look at the women, they tend to be more populated at the lower weights. But then if you move up to like Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall, which is what Peter Fury said, how many decent operators have you really got globally? I mean, have we even got 5 middleweights in this country professionally? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but is there any British champions ever going to come out as women? Oh, sorry, no, hang on. Are we ever going to have a British champion as a woman?
Well, the border control aren't going to make those belts and hand them out.
After Jane Couch slaughtered them in court.
Exactly, Jane Couch.
So they're not going to let Jane Couch have her moment, are they? With British girls winning a British title, because Jane took them to court in a landmark case, didn't she? Landmark case. So, okay. Why is Eddie Hearn signing gloves at shows for fans, boxing? Why? What 5-0, wasn't he?
Because, as I've said before, Eddie Hearn, his ambition is to die in his own arms. It's as simple as that, mate. He's just, Eddie loves Eddie. He's a successful, good-looking, unbeaten puncher. So why wouldn't you love yourself? I don't know what's stranger, the fact that people would want the glove or he'd sign the glove. It's a bit weird.
You think all that shaking everybody's hands as they come through the door and all that? You think that's how they come again?
It's crazy, mate, because I know he's got a bigger social media presence than his own fighters, hasn't he? He has more followers than his own boxers. It's, I guess, only in 2022. But what I do find interesting is the whole Jake Paul relationship's really soured now, hasn't it? That's
Well, he didn't want to work with him, and then he went a bit funny. So then he commented on something, but he worded it correctly, didn't he? That
yeah.
Jake Paul. He's a bit sharp. He's a bit sharp. But Eddie's just done it for column inches, hasn't he? I'm suing Jake Paul. I'm taking him on. He's done it to exert himself out there. He's obsessed by himself, isn't he?
You know what I want to know, and I was curious about this. Someone said it was 93 million. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't understand it.
93 million. 93 million in our money. Well, yeah, $100 million. 90 sterling, yeah.
How would you get to that figure?
Well, you're not allowed to. Well, obviously, you'd have thought some money would be going to Glenn Feldman, wouldn't you? And Nevada State Athletic Commission, not Eddie Hearn. I mean, so Eddie Hearn's saying, if you give me $100 million or 93 million pounds sterling, that'll be okay for you saying, well, what about suing me or suing other YouTubers who stick it to him? He don't want to sue us, does he? All they want to do is just fucking revel in it. But if it's anybody who's got millions, they come after you.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't believe for 1 minute Eddie Hearn's buying judges off. I don't buy that. It's
don't need to. They just get looked after. You know what happens at shows, don't we? Look, we know what happens. The judges come in, and what usually happens is you be getting pissed up around them. Oh, all right. Yeah. Then I go over and I go, now then, how are you? And they go, it's him again, not him. Because I terrorise them down. I've got a photo up there. You've seen it with me and Frank, haven't you? Terry O'Connor sat behind us. And he went, how's it going, Porky? You still got your big chain? I went, you, wrong un. You Fury against Parker, you know. And he went, we're laughing and joking. As you see me laugh, I was out my face. I had no teeth at that time, all broken. You see me laughing? Me and Frank were like that. Oh, God.
Oh, he's off again. Yeah.
Two stories. Me and my mate Frank Smith sat behind us. Frank were like, oh, here we go. But Kell Brooks come out in between rumours doing rounds that him and Ebony Bridges are mucky pups. Go on, Kell, flying flag for South Yorkshire.
I didn't know that.
That's the rumour doing the rounds. I don't know if it's true, but if it is, go on, Kell. But Ebony Bridges, we'll talk about it another time. But Kell Brooks come out and he's saying he'll fight the winner of Ben Eubank, or he'll fight Beefy Smith and knock him out.
I think we talk about egos. I don't think with Kell Brooks it's an ego thing. I think they just miss boxing, don't they? They've no.
What's Kell Brooks going to do if you don't box?
And that's exactly it.
He doesn't strike me as a kid who's going to go out and do a 9 to 5 like George Groves.
No, not a chance. And he's probably not going to be a great pundit, is he? And that's the problem. Is
if Eddie says to Kell Brooks, yeah, Kell, just big him up and all that, Kell will be like, yeah, all right. He'll forget about it. Then when the fight starts, he'll be saying, oh, he shouldn't be in with him, baby. He'll be coming out with all stuff like that, won't it? Rape, puncher him, Eddie. Shouldn't have been in with him. Yeah. He'll tell truth, and Eddie will be like, oh, what did you say? That kind of thing. Because I see these people, every now and then, they come on as one-time pundits, and then they're gone. Like I've seen Robin Reed do it and tell truth. Clinton Woods.
Yeah.
World champion.
Gary Mason used to tell the truth, and the sky got shut of him.
Never liked Joe McKenzie, did the ITV for coming out telling truth. They were on him, oh, what are you saying that for? And like, well, why? Barry McGuigan got rid of him for telling the truth. Teddy Atlas, they're not so popular now, are they? Paul Smith, he's not as active as he was for telling the truth, is he?
Nope.
So, 2 seconds, click this. That's part one, not sorted. We spoke about the Eddie and Jake Paul thing. We spoke about people getting carried away with Joe Joyce, going to kill us all in our beds. It's Pete Parker. Let's have another win and then see. Beat Joseph Parker, the Stinkinator. Come on, let's get with the program here. He's beat Uchizora. He lost against Dylan White, Parker, and he's lost against Joyce now, but they're making Joyce out with his Terminator. He may have a good chin, but he's 38 next. And he's there to be hit. And if Wilder hits him, he'll light him up. Jesus. We'll see how tough Joe Joyce is then. But I'm glad he's won. He's a Brit. He's beat Parker, but Parker's a nice guy. He's a tough kid. Yeah. But he's British level who fluked a world title by default. That's the truth. It's all there in black and white. Everybody's seen it.
Someone asked me the other day if I thought Sykes would have beaten Broner. And I just said, no. And they looked at me like, they look at you like, but you were Gary's trainer. I said, no, it was domestic level at the time. Broner was rampant.
Oh, wait, world champion then, wasn't he?
It was rampant. And I just said, at that time when they was supposed to fight, I had that conversation with Sykes and I said, it's probably going to end badly for you. I want my chance, Jules. So we took the fight. And, you can look after your fighter. But what I'm saying is be honest and own it. And I says he was a domestic level fighter. And people hate when you say stuff like that. And then they get really shitty with you and say, well, you never did anything. I said, I'm just giving you my opinion. Be honest and just say as it is. And that way, you don't get these overinflated egos. Just, I don't say in a rude way, but if someone's domestic level or not, or I don't think someone's world level, I'll just say it. And it's not hating anybody.
Yeah. Do you think Fury and Big Meech is never going to happen then now? Give me your last opinion on it before we move
on. I think it'll happen a bit like Kell Brook and Khan.
It'll just be overcooked. Like
it'll be 4 years' time. Fury might have a defeat on his record. He might have been out of the ring for 12 months. They might be just getting a bit itchy, missing the limelight. The careers might be over. And then maybe they'll just be tempted into one big Battle of Britain when neither of them's kind of like, champions of the world. I think it'll happen, but too late. I don't think it's going to happen in December. I hope it does, but I'm not holding my breath.
Okay. Natasha Jonas versus Dick Carey. 4 belts online, including Ring Magazine belt, light middleweight unification. If Natasha wins it, Terry Harper's got the other 2 belts. The word around the campfire is that they're not going to give Harper a undisputed, but Ozzie Smith reckons that money talks. What do you think?
Money always talks. I mean, people will. It's if you can do the deal, isn't it, with the relevant promoters and managers? Because, I mean, I think Jonas.
He's come out on top in this duel, Jonas. We're her CV now, aren't she?
Jonas is just looking brilliant, but she's the one who's massively improved. She also looks a hell of a lot better at the weight than Harper. People will say Harper looks good at the weight.
Anna Rankin, she will fight. No disrespect against Anna Rankin, but she's like if she were she'd be a club fighter in America, and I'm an egger, wouldn't she?
Yeah. She's someone like Chrissy Martin. Remember, the coal miner's daughter would have just steamed through her like she didn't exist. Like even Layla Ali had lit her up. But I just don't think Rankin's that great, and a record proves that. And that's not being disrespectful. But I think Jonas. I thought Jonas beat Harper last time. I think everybody thought the same thing. I think I had it 6-4 from memory. But Jonas, for me, she's a hell of a lot more developed. And you can see it's taken Joe Gallagher quite a few years to really impress his style onto Jonas. And I think she's grasping now what Joe's really tried to do with her. She looks brilliant, mate. The way she sits down on the shots and the way she throws that left cross right hook is just, I love watching that.
Yeah, well done to Eddie Hills for giving Scott Brunt the VIP department. Guy with the red and black Armani vest on it. Eddie, well done for looking after my sponsor, lad.
Yeah, I'd not have asked him to move the year. He's a big lad, is Scott, isn't he?
Nobody asked him to move. I heard they were having meetings. Ask him to move. He sat there all night.
He never moved, did he?
Eddie just green room. Who's going to tell him to move?
I saw that screenshot of him sat ringside. Like I said, he's a big lad, and he almost had that look across his face, like, don't even say it.
Yeah, they did.
Don't even say it.
He came over on radio. Nobody asked him to move because People will be getting dropped like Skittles. You've got a 6'5", 15-stone kickboxer here.
Yeah, he's a big useful lad, isn't he?
I thought Eddie though, 5-0, amateur rising star, free by way of, and I said, here, mate, you shouldn't be sat here. Instead of getting Frank going out for a meeting, coming back and swapping seats with Frank Smith, letting Frank cop for it because he's, he's a lively kid, Scott. He's a bit warm. So, but I thought
you don't send your wife and kids into battle for you, mate, do you?
I thought it was funny though, because in day when he put label next to, and it said Eddie Hearn on seat, and then I thought all the other seats didn't have a name on them, and then it said Scott Brunt on seat next to Eddie's, and that one person picked up on it. So they said, you can't sit there, mate. He's here. My name's here. They're going, oh.
All right, mate. All right, yeah, fine.
Eddie must have been thinking, you've got to move now. Then when he said, I'm going nowhere, Eddie's like,
put Frank in. Get Frank Smith next to me, be all right.
Let's call a meeting, and then when we realise that nobody's going to move this dude.
Some people just have that aura about them, which is like they're not saying much, but I'll give you a wide berth.
I thought it was funny. Calla and Nissy. People are saying they're turning into cartoon characters with this DAZN deal and all these YouTubers and high-fiving them and tweeting them and tagging them into every tweet and all this nonsense. What's happened to Calla? He was a serious promoter at one point, wasn't he? And now he looks like he's just out at the circus every day, doesn't he? What's going on?
He's having fun, isn't he? It's like
I'm only jealous.
Yeah.
I'm very jealous, indeed.
Me too, mate. But he's definitely a character.
Trust me, you're not as jealous as me, mate. I'm ready for a comeback, Red, ain't with my stomach. Let's have a look. What's happened to him? Adam Boo, the Dark Lord. Where is he? Is it APB for Adam Boo, MIA, missing in action? Where is Adam Boo?
I don't know. I always like listening to Adam Boo. He's kind of articulate. He's my cup of tea, but he's just people.
He was if you look at moment, wasn't he, Adam Boo? At one point, wasn't he? He was the go-to guy, wasn't he?
Well, if you look at Mark Tibbs and Jimmy Tibbs and look at Joe Gallagher, the kind of people.
Plodded on, aren't they? Plodded on.
Even Domingo, these guys have been around for so long. It's not just having the right fighters. Sometimes what they have to do is they have to develop fighters, and they go all the way round, and it takes time. They don't get fighters handed on the lap. And these guys, you got to admire them so much. I mean, I got out after, I had the license 20 years, but I didn't do the stints that they'd done. And to stay in this game, which is a horrible, corrupt, bent game, and you get pushed to one side, it's fantastic. But there's very few trainers like the ones I've just mentioned who just hang on there and consistently prove to be like, solid coaches. And I include, like I say, Domingo, the Tibbses, Joe Gallagher, and there's obviously others I've not mentioned, but you've got to be rhino skinned to stay in there. But you've also got to reinvent yourself as a coach. You've got to continually reinvent yourself. And most importantly, certainly with Joe, you got to keep that passion, haven't you? And Joe's still as passionate about boxing as he was 30 years ago. I didn't keep that.
Well, he's still up at 6, Joe G, in bed at 12.
Well, the good thing with Joe as well is there's a group of them, I know, and Kroll, it's nice to see Kroll working with those guys. But
listen, he's got a good setup down there. He's got academy at law. He's got people working there, and it's a proper business way.
But Joe likes to know the job's being done, so he's up at 6 o'clock and he's watching it. And
where he goes, where he messes up, Joe. And I can't remember if I've told him this. Where I think he messes up, takes too much on, doesn't he? He wants to do everything, doesn't he? Because he doesn't trust no one, does he?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. So he's up at 6 o'clock because he knows if he's up at 6 o'clock, it gets done.
They're going to do, because he follows them in car, doesn't he? Up wherever they go. They're
not going to miss that last 5 minutes, that last 50 yard on that hill. Joe Gallagher's going to make them do it, and then he's going to make them do it again.
He's like Brian Hughes sat up top at hill.
You get away with nothing, and it's tremendous dedication. Anybody who thinks, being a successful coach is easy work, it's really not. He works hard.
Well, his routine's different to McCracken's, because McCracken believes that No, you should get up and do your own work. If you can't come to me fit, there's a problem. So his mentality is different, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Whereas
Joe
Peter
takes it
Fury,
all on.
he takes him up Lake Windermere as I'm running up and down beach with somebody on the back. Ask Dave Allen till the spewing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Brutal work. Yeah.
That's brutal, that, you know, running with somebody on your back. Imagine grabbing Huey on your back. Hey.
Yeah, you just couldn't do it, could you?
Savannah running down there with Conchina on her back, like a she warrior, Savannah. No messing about. Hey, that I've never seen that. She is a cyborg, Savannah. She's a freak, mate.
I've got a question, actually, if you don't mind me asking you about Savannah. Is that, and this is because you're on social media a lot more than I am, is the Shields fight still on?
Yeah.
Do you know why I'm asking that? Because me and my mate were chatting the other day, and we've like heard nothing about it since. I know it was cancelled. It's really quiet this time around.
I don't know. They're saying it's maybe it didn't do enough tickets and they pulled it that time because everything else were on that weekend. There's something a bit smelly about it in there, but they're saying it's still on. But Huey's fight's off.
I heard that Huey was potentially off, and I thought he was maybe injured again. I don't know, but it was just weird because the build up to the unification, to the Shields and Marshall fight was massive.
Obviously, the Queen of October, Saturday at 15, I think.
It's the week after the Ben and Eubank, so it's 15, like nothing at all has been said.
It's 2 weeks. Week of Monday fight week for Savannah, 11 days fight week, and it's quiet as a mouse.
So you'd assume that Shields is in the UK now because, you know, you don't want to be coming on the fight week from the States, coming back, you always get the jet lag. So you'd assume that she's already in the country for the last 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks. So what's happening with that fight? I've not heard of, I might be wrong. It's just weird how nobody's mentioned it.
Has somebody got to Shields and offered her more money to scup at fight? Because there's a lot of that going off at the moment, you know.
Oh, absolutely. There was just something about that cancellation where
it didn't add up.
I thought the main event would happen, but I thought it's unlikely. I didn't think the Mayor Baumgartner. I thought something's going to happen where we don't get that double header second time around. And now I've heard nothing about the main event.
Yeah, and don't forget it were an all main event women's card. And it makes you wonder if they did sell any tickets, doesn't it?
There's something not right about that, mate.
Queen dying, give him a reason to claim furlough or whatever they've claimed, because they'll claim something, won't they?
They'll be insured for that, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be insured, and then they think, you know what, we're not going to do this again.
I just thought, is it just me? Because
there's supposed to be a marking time moment with an all women's card.
But you know, like Peter Fury did a lot of. He doesn't do much media, but Peter did some media.
Done none of the last few weeks.
Shields did quite a bit of media. She's very, very vocal. I've seen her having a bit of a rant about Eddie Hearn recently, but never mentioned her own fight. And I just thought it was a bit strange. Maybe I've just not looked for it, but seen nothing at all.
Adam Smith's come out and he said there's going to be fireworks being let off a week later after Guy Fawkes night in the cauldron of whatever.
Cacophony of noise.
All that nonsense. He come out. I sent you a thing, you know what he said, and it's for Hatton versus Barrera. 2 chubby men pushing 50.
There's a couple of things I don't understand.
Sky
about
Sports.
That. Oh. I like the fact that Ricky Hatton's got a reason to get in shape and it's keeping him focused. That's great. What I don't understand, well, 2 things. One, why it's on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
Bizarre. This is like, it's just a bit of an exhibition for charity, whatever. And the second thing is why he's chosen Barrera as his dance partner, who's a former super featherweight. Tiny. It's just what, you know, why don't you have do you know what people would love with Hatton as an exhibition? Fight Junior Witter.
Yeah.
I'd probably pay to see that as an exhibition just to see if there are any fireworks, but Barrera, really?
Ricky Hatton were carefully matched. He didn't want to fight Witter, did he? He had an horrible style, didn't he? He didn't want to fight.
Yeah, I got rubbish for saying exactly the same thing, but it was an easy fight to make at the time. They were both under warrant. Witter was knocking everybody out left, right, and centre, including a really good European champion. He beat in 2 rounds. Hatton had been dropped by McGee, and that was the fight we were all promised next, and it just didn't happen, did it? And then, you know what, the one thing I always hated about that fight not happening was whenever you get to debate with somebody about it, they always turn around and say, Witter wasn't in Hatton's league. What did Witter bring to the table? But yet Hatton...
He had a WBC belt at the time.
No, but I mean before then, when they were both up and coming. So Hatton was basically knocking out super featherweights for his WBU light welterweight title and beating old men, 40-year-old men. And people were saying Witter brought nothing to the table, but yet these guys did. It never made any sense. We all know why he didn't fight Witter, because it was a massive risk and a
big puncher then.
And also, if you imagine Witter turns him over, what do you do with Witter? Are you gonna sell out the MEN Arena? He couldn't sell out Bradford, could he?
He couldn't sell out a phone box. No.
He's a nice guy to talk to, his junior.
He's a lovely kid. His gym's just at 25 yards from my office.
Really humble guy. I used to go to Winkerbank. Sykes used to spar, and Junior chat to him a couple of times. He was a nice guy, very direct, very clear.
Bang on. He's a nice kid.
And I'm not saying Hatton's not, by the way. I'm just saying I think he should have given us that domestic fight.
Oh, I don't want him around me, Ricky Fatton, not my cup of tea. Right, Eubanks, Ben, fight week Monday. And that's me done for the week. No, I've got Kent on tomorrow, Friday, and that is me in September. Right, Hatton. Eubank against Ben. At £157, the rehydration clause is 162. So you can only put £5 on. It suits one, doesn't suit other. What do you think about it all? Who's going to win, and will it happen? Because there's still time for some more. It ain't happening. It is happening. It ain't happening. It is happening. We've got all that to come, haven't we, now in next 11 days? What do you think?
£160 fully hydrated Eubank pans him. This fight is harder to call, but I'm still going to go with Eubank. I think it's going to be a difficult thing to do, because you see a fighter get weighed in, and then anything he eats or drinks clings to him. Your body doesn't let it go. It thinks you're trying to starve it. So what carbs, what complex carbs Eubank's going to get into his body before 11 a.m. the day after, and nutrients, I got no idea. It's going to be really tricky, but they must have figured this out. But then from 11 a.m. on the fight day, they can take what they want into the body. They can have as much food and water as you want, but it's too late then, isn't it? Because it's that overnight process for rehydration that effectively is going to give him his energy cells back. So I think it's a really tough fight, but I don't think Conor Benn's a good puncher, so I'm not going to say he's not a big puncher, but he doesn't have the KO record his dad had, for example. And I see this fight being really, really similar to when Nigel Benn fought Michael Watson. So you remember, Nigel Benn came out, and he came out like a train at Watson.
Team train.
He let everything out in first 2 or 3 rounds. Watson was just cool, calculated, and Ben was so pumped up in that tent at Finsbury that he gassed out, and Watson just picked him off and took him out in 6 rounds, as you know. I see a very similar fight, ironically, to the fight that his dad had with Watson. And I think Conor Benn will be electric for 2 rounds, 3 rounds. And as long as Eubank's got those reserves in his body, I think he'll stop him anywhere between 6 and 9.
Okay. I'll just ask you what we've got left here. We've got 4 or 5 minutes left. Let's ask you a few quick questions and give me a few quick responses. Tyson Fury, does he get knighted?
No.
Does Dylan White turn to combat sports, i.e. UFC, after he loses his next couple of fights?
I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a go.
That's what I'm hearing now. He's looking at doing UFC and another couple of fights, so that he's going to go over pond. Good luck to him. He did kickboxing. Wasn't he world K1 champion at one point?
He was very capable, and you can see he's physically would be good for grappling because he's such a strong, broad type of fighter. He might be okay.
Well, at boxing, Anti-State want his chosen sport. He would kickboxing.
Yeah.
I know I give him stick, but I do respect him for what sport he's come from. So he's done well to get this far, hasn't he? But don't be
He's an overachiever, absolutely.
don't be telling us you're going to knock Fury out and then turn up and not throwing a punch, not even selling fight. That's not how I'd like to see him roll. Okay. Eddie Hearn, does he ever get knighted? Would you put it past Eddie being Sir Eddie? Would it be unbearable?
I mean, he's all for Queen and country. His father's the same, isn't he? But listen, I wouldn't be surprised if he did for services to sport. Yeah, I'd say there's a 70% chance he'll get some kind of King's Award.
Yeah. Does the Gad end up going and giving Kell Brook a slap for hanging around his bitch?
The Gad is my guilty pleasure. The fact you call him the Gad. Warren called him the Gad. You know what they say when you give someone a name, own it, and I bet he'll start referring himself soon as the Gad.
Unbearable,
I think it is. I think he's more thick-skinned than we think. I think he finds humour in it. What was he doing? Was he having a fag and toasting everybody when they actually said that the Eubank Ben fight was going to happen, and we were all wrong and he was right? So the Gad's good at what he does.
Fury Joshua were done, didn't he, 2 years ago?
Well, what do they say? We've all heard it a few times now, but say a broken clock's right twice a day, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Where do you see Frank Warren heading now? Is he back on his perch? People are saying here.
Warren's looking very good right now. He's got the dominant. He's got the heavyweight champ. He's got the heavyweight everybody's talking about right now. In terms of
he's got the wings, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think Eddie's not very happy about Frank's situation. Eddie's always going to be bigger. Of course, he's going to be bigger. You only have to look, at the books, what those companies are worth, and Matchroom's worth so much more than Queensbury. But like I've said before, the heavyweight championship, that is what everybody wants, because that's the jewel in the crown as a promotional outfit. Frank's got that. So this must really kill Eddie Hearn right now. But it won't last forever. This is how boxing goes. It goes in waves. It'll be somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll finish off on this then, Julian. Are you looking forward to doing some commentary for Fight Zone with Terry Chapman-Dharma?
Absolutely. I think Terry's fabulous. I love the things that he does with you guys. It'll be just something new for me. Something different. It's an area of boxing that I've never done. I'll give it a go, but I'm not saying we'll be like Reg and Jim Watt, but the one thing is, you've got to have a go, haven't you? You've got to just try something, and you take it on the chin. If people say that wasn't great, that's not your forte, don't have a problem with that. But happy to help Dennis out, and it's just nice to be around it. It'd be nice to be around boxing. Anything else other than being in a ring or being in a corner, it'd be quite nice.
And that, I'm afraid, is that. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
Gentlemen, have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you again, Julian.
Thank you, mate. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Cheers, mate.
What you come across all right there, Julian. Hope you enjoyed it. We've got Kent on tomorrow. That is it for September. All right. Well, it's 7:58. So you've had a good do this month. Okie dokie. Peace out. Big shout out, Welcome Estates in Spain. You'll be hearing more from Welcome Estates. All right. Watch this space. Boyaka.